Every time I pull up at the let out, it's a spectacle.
All right. So, hello, everybody. Welcome to another great episode of The Let Out, the party after the party. I want to welcome you to the show and introduce my co-host, Sylvia, my co-host, Alicia, and my other co-host, Chris.
Quarantine shouting.
Yeah, we got a great show lined up for you today. We're going to talk about a few topics. One of the topics we're going to talk about is is there a need to keep it fresh in relationships? And we want to know is communication necessary in relationship, and how essential is communication in the relationships? And then if we have time today, we want to talk about the infamous surprise topic. All right, without further ado, let's go. Get your drinks ready. Let's get the topics going.
Yes, come on, drinks.
Let's get it
All
flow. Hey, look, I'm driving. Look, ain't no goddamn drinks right now. But once I get home, after I pick up this food, I might go ahead and partake today.
Yeah, just partake. Okay, so let's go. Let's go. Give us the backstory. What's going on? How do we get to this topic on keeping the relationship fresh?
So there was a big debate on Instagram, of course, because Nicole Ari Parker and her husband, her fine husband, Boris Kojo, they were doing a live couple. Yes. They were doing a live with another couple from I'm not sure if you've seen the show Black Love before, but they were talking about relationships. And she was saying how she wished that she was still single, not in the sense that she could still continue to date, but just talking about how fresh it was and how new it was when they were in the dating period.
Right.
And how a lot of what he used to do, he no longer does. Like she mentioned, kind of like coming up behind her while she's cooking and putting his hands around her, or like kissing her neck, just doing little stuff that a lot of times you pay more attention to in dating.
Right.
So that kind of got a big debate going on with couples. So just want to kind of get y'all's head in as far as like, is it important to keep a relationship fresh, and how do you all actually want to keep your relationships fresh?
Let's start with go ahead.
I'm gonna go ahead and jump in and say, look, somebody just take charge, go. But hell yeah, I definitely think that it's important. I definitely think that it's important to always keep a relationship fresh, because man, when the shit gets stale, motherfuckers is boring. Don't nobody want to deal with whether it's your significant other or not. You can love them all day, but that boring shit is dead. Don't nobody want to do that. Right.
So when you say boring, what do you mean?
Boring, which is day-to-day routine. Sometimes you got to switch it up a little bit, because and for me, I'll say that just in life, I am typically a creature of habit. But I do know at the same time, like, man, you got to switch it up. Right. When it comes to your relationship.
Like you switching from left to right, because you making me dizzy.
He's getting it in. Do you hear me?
Right there.
I feel you. Sylvia, what's your take on it?
Definitely have to keep it fresh. And I think that it becomes, for the lack of a better word, stale, is because you're so caught up with life, and now you have responsibilities. If there's kids involved, you got work, you try to run a household, and you just get in a habit of, trying to make sure everything is everything, and you get out of it. But you got to keep it fresh, because if it's not fresh, then you leave opportunities open for eyes to wander, minds to wander.
Right.
They're gonna look at it.
Go ahead.
But if it's still fresh, it's gonna come on right back, because he's like, yeah, I got this exciting thing going on over there.
Okay.
But if you lose the excitement, you know what I mean? You're gonna start looking at over there, and this is exciting. I remember when he used to do this, or she used to do this, and now I'm seeing.
But can you really continue to keep it exciting when you have all these day-to-day routines? When you throw in now kids, mortgage, work, is it hard to keep it consistently exciting?
Consistently,
you have to make a conscious effort to honestly do it, and it beats on, it's on both parties that's involved, responsibility to do so. But I mean, if at a certain amount of time, say, hey, we ain't did nothing in a minute, let's whatever. But then it also makes me think about women. We're moody, we're emotional creatures, and if we've been. I don't need your amen. If you know your lady who you're with, and we had to receive some type of attention in a certain amount of time, our attitude goes left for no apparent reason to you. Like, we're real moody. like our patience short. Like we don't have time for nothing.
What are y'all doing to keep it?
Why-
What are y'all doing to keep it fresh?
Let me ask you this. Y'all do expect for us to read y'all mind. Why is that? I
We're
want to
gonna-
say this for all men. We definitely like to, tell me.
But we're going to get to that in just a minute because it's going to play in on the second part of this conversation.
Okay.
So hold that
Okay.
thought.
Okay.
Hold that thought.
Okay. So
So,
how do
what is your
women
take
keep
on
it
it,
fresh?
Will?
No, I got you,
Well,
but I need to know how. No, I got a question of yours though before I get into mine. I want to know how do y'all keep it fresh? I mean, typically when you say keep it fresh, it's typically the man because all y'all gonna do is y'all feel like y'all gonna just throw on some lingerie and that's keeping it fresh. Y'all ain't like what's outside of just let me give you this repackaged vagina
Oh God,
And-
here we go.
and expect you to just like have an imagination and think this is something brand new.
There you go,
but
Will.
that goes back to how much effort you want to put into it. If you want to keep it fresh, think back to what you did when you first started dating.
Right?
Gifts here, pop-up lunches there. Just
No. I'm talking about the
focus in on
woman.
things. That's what I'm talking about.
What
Don't
woman
do
you know
that.
pop up lunching?
First of all, I don't know who you've been dealing with or who your friends or the guys you talk to been dealing with.
Yo.
But I know I've done pop-up lunches. Don't do that.
Hey,
don't do that.
pop-up might be a
I've
problem.
done pop-up gifts. I've taken the time out just to sit
Really,
there and write
Chris?
a little simple note expressing my gratitude or whatever. Thank you for what you've done for me and the kids. Just left me in a nice little place. Send just out of the blue text messages. Come on, man, don't do that. I'm sorry you don't get that at home.
No, that's not
But,
what I'm saying.
yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm talking about is early on in the relationship, that part. I'm not talking about like y'all been together some years and you recognize you got a good man and you do these things, blah, blah. I'm talking about those couples that aren't particularly in our situation, the fresh, like the first part of it. Who is doing that in the beginning? Now, what I want to do is skate this on down to Alicia.
Yeah, but all of our ass are in these long-term ass relationships. So this should
Right.
work for all of us.
Right,
It
but
ain't
I'm
just
just
conversation.
right. That's what I'm saying. But then that's the thing. Like, I don't know of any man. I'm gonna do my research. I don't know no dudes, no nipples that they had pop-up lunches, that they had anything from a female that's fresh outside of the sex. Women, to me, I could be wrong. That's where y'all come in at. Y'all don't know how to keep it fresh. That's just a fact.
Well,
In
I'm going to go
general.
ahead and I'm not
In
going to say
general.
all women, but I am going to say that I am one that is guilty of not consistently keeping it fresh.
Facts.
I think that I do get caught up in work. I get caught up in trying to make sure that I'm here for my kids. Trying to go ahead and to maintain a little bit of individuality, and then somewhere in there, you do kind of lose focus, or I have kind of lost focus as far as keeping it fresh in a relationship. So this topic hits home for me because it kind of highlights the things that I need to go ahead and just step up on doing. Because a lot of times I think that I do leave it up to him. Like I communicate with him about what I want, but I need to go ahead to step it up and to initiate.
I don't spit
Okay,
out
well,
shit.
maybe I'm an exception. I'm an exception because, I do events, parties, whatever. So anything that I could use to celebrate anything, I'm going all in.
I get that. But
What's funny
generally
is
speaking,
he's total. Okay, I'll give you that. But
shit.
he really told the opposite. Like I'm like, it's his birthday month. I'm more excited than him. Oh, we got to do this. Let's do this. I want to do this. Let me set this up.
Because you're getting the fun out of it too.
Right. But I'm still keeping it fresh. Don't do that. Hey,
Why
we
can't
both
we
get
just
some
have
out
our
of
own
it.
gift?
Don't do that.
It's got to be partially our gift.
That's what I'm saying. That's where I'm going, Chris. All this shit always revert back to them. I'm talking about doing something fresh and something new that don't involve your ass. That's what I'm saying. Like what y'all do is everything.
There's no such thing as a singular
But
male.
it's for me. But that's not still. And that's not even really what he's good with. Just the basic. I'm the extra one.
She getting tongue
So
tied
he's good with the basic. I'm not getting tongue tied. He's just like Maxwell is his favorite artist.
Okay.
He had absolutely no idea that I bought him tickets to see Maxwell in concert for his birthday. He had never seen Maxwell. No idea.
Right.
Did you buy your ticket too, or somebody else get to go?
No, I bought both our tickets. Like, what are you talking about?
Both our tickets.
But why couldn't you want it? Because he would have said, "Hey, I want to take one of my
if he buy the ticket for me to go to a concert, his ass is going too. We go to concerts together. I'm
Well,
sorry.
well,
We do
well,
think
But that's
If we
not the
would've- if we would've said,
relationship,
hey,
though.
baby,
If the
hey,
focus
baby.
is on the relationship, then why would he go ahead and take a guy there? This is guy time. This is trying to keep
First
their
of all, I hope the
relationship.
hell he ain't trying to take no guy to go see no motherfucking Maxwell. I got a problem.
You might want to take his secretary.
He ain't got no nigga.
But here's
He
the
ain't
thing,
taking
though.
her either.
Okay, let's get back. Let's take it back right then. Let's take it back right. So keeping it fresh. Not Sylvia, I see you keeping that drink fresh. Alicia,
What's up?
as far as keeping it fresh, I want to know because you said you got lost in the everyday,
The mundane,
day
day to day. Yes.
Right, I get that. So outside of the monotony, what are some of the things that you would do to keep it fresh?
Saying if I went in a long term relationship.
No, because you wouldn't keep it fresh. You wouldn't keep it fresh in a short term relationship.
Right.
We're talking long
Nigga.
term. So one of the things that you're gonna do to a man
Oh,
to
and I'm
keep
going
it fresh,
to.
huh?
What I am.
What you have done, niggas sound like you ain't doing shit.
Ain't did nothing. Go ahead, cuz. Don't know how. They don't know how.
Look, this
First of all,
podcast with me too, okay? It's
You
helping
ain't
me
gotta
too.
even tell
all right?
her. That's right. She put hers out there, so you ain't gotta keep throwing it in her face.
Okay, all right. I ain't just gonna throw it in her face.
That's what I'm here for.
I ain't gonna just throw it in her face. I'm just saying, period. I think that when we talk keep it fresh, I think the idea of is, man, if you notice Nicole, for the most part, on that interview, she spoke about the shit he not doing. For the most part. She didn't really like talk about, the kisses on the neck and blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, yo, this ain't one.
Okay, wait a minute. So was he on there?
He
Yes.
was.
Okay, so he can speak for himself. She's speaking from her
That's-
perspective. Why she gotta speak from his?
Because he's not gonna do that because a man is expected
That's
to be
his.
cool.
You don't know
goddamn fault. That comes. You know what? All this rolling over into this next topic, which is communication.
Okay.
How come he can't communicate it? So is the expectation is that she's supposed to know? Like she can say what she is, and it's not she's being selfish. But if he don't say it, then she's automatically supposed to know.
The same.
That, oh, I need to speak on his behalf too. No.
What Chris just say? What did Chris just say? Chris, what you just say? Why y'all expect us to read your damn mind? That's the whole
Yeah.
point.
Same
Right.
here.
No, that's what
Hey,
I'm saying.
right.
Like,
you know good and damn well, we don't never expect y'all to read our mind. We
That's
will
what I'm
straight up
saying.
tell y'all some shit that you
That's
don't want
not
to
true.
comply with.
No, that's
not true. That's
How come
not
it's
true.
not?
Not true.
Yes, it is.
No, you all will
Because
assume.
when we touch
you
y'all
made
about
y'all
what y'all are
y'all-
not doing, that's
Okay.
we'll go
No.
ahead and find
Let me
out
tell
say
you.
something.
Thing your husband asked you to do that you actually did.
What happened?
So swing
said,
it
what
outside, goddamn
I
it.
said,
What
what's
the hell?
the last thing your husband asked you to do that you actually did?
Everything he asked me to do, what the hell? He wanted to eat breakfast this morning. Shit, I got my ass up and cooked. The fuck?
So you do everything he asked you to do?
Do he do everything did I ask him to do? Hell no. I have to remind him several
But that's the
times.
whole
Go
point.
on with that
The
shit.
point is, now we can go down list now. Our to-do list is a lot heftier than y'all's list of what
Really?
we gotta do to satisfy. That's my point. Like the things that y'all gotta do.
Because maybe men are more
keep it
simple, but
fresh.
that has nothing to do with not going ahead and giving a
No,
woman what she wants.
men aren't more simple. The problem is
Yeah.
you think that. That's the problem. The problem is
really
you think
are.
that we're more simple. No, we're not.
We don't. That's
we're
not
not.
what we
We're
think.
not.
It's what
What
y'all
we do
portray
is,
is what
what we
y'all
do is
do.
we stay to a point of complacency because we know that y'all ain't gonna really comply. Y'all not gonna comply or meet demands if we take them joints past like a three category list. No.
Y'all
not gonna
ass
do it.
don't either.
Y'all
Y'all bitching to the end of the world, to the last day, to the apocalypse.
But we bitching because y'all ass ain't doing what we asked y'all to do.
No.
That's my whole point. But that's my whole point. Because the reason we're not doing what you
because we didn't read your mind about something else you wanted.
that's a fact. You should know me by now. What?
What you mad at? Nigga,
But
I don't
there is truth behind that statement, but that's not always the case.
What do you mean?
Right.
What statement?
think a lot of the time.
That after so many years, like he'll say, order me. I say, what you want to eat? Order me something. Order what I like. So there is an expectancy of, at this point, this long in this relationship, you should know the things that I like, what I enjoy. So there should
What
be
I
a
don't
level
like.
of
You can't
expectation out there.
everything you know.
Your list. I'm gonna tell you something. Y'all know better. Y'all know better.
No.
Y'all know better.
You should know better.
Y'all know better, man.
No.
Y'all fronting.
No.
Like I'm gonna tell you.
And even if we do communicate it to y'all asses, y'all still gonna damn forget.
Hey,
Or y'all gonna forget. Or you gonna be like, well, I thought you meant whatever.
Well,
Y'all still ain't gonna
At least
forget
we can blame it on forget. Y'all just ain't gonna
Oh
do this.
God.
I'm just
Oh,
saying.
my God.
Y'all just ain't gonna fucking do
Really?
it. Like, I don't know what to do. I mean, y'all are some hard. I'm telling you, man. Y'all don't understand. Y'all don't understand. Like y'all,
But
and
y'all
it goes
don't
back to our
understand.
topic.
But here's the thing, Will. You keep saying we don't understand, and it makes it seem like just because y'all are simple that y'all are easier. Y'all
We're not
You
simple.
don't understand that either.
We're not simple.
Well, the
Yes,
part of that
y'all are.
about not being simple is, again, going back to what the next topic was with communication. You should be making sure that you are fully communicating to your spouse
We do.
what it is you like. Because most of the times we assume that you're simple because we get simple shit, simple answers. So if you're more complex and there's more that it takes to satisfy you, keep it fresh, and to make you happy, communicate it.
They do.
Lay it out.
We do. But y'all can't take
And-
it. The problem is there's a couple of things that women can't take. They can't take rejection. That's a fact. We'll get on that one
No,
day.
Men
that's a
too.
fact.
They can't take
I don't
rejection.
like
They-
rejection.
I know.
either.
Women can't take
Yeah.
rejection.
It's some
And-
men that can't take rejection. Come on now, Chris.
Yes.
Don't do that.
It's different though. No, and I want to
It
take this
ain't
back.
different. Rejection is rejection. Either you can accept it or you can't. That's not
No,
different.
hey, I bet you. Look, you can have this one excuse. Oh, I'm tired. I'm sleeping at night. I don't really want. Let me
Shit,
chill.
let you have
I
it.
don't want to do nothing. Nigga, tell you. He ain't
You
trying.
cheat. He cheat.
What bitch you fuck? Man, look, nigga, don't be tired. No, you better not be tired. I can't even. I'm gonna tell you something. Now, this is personal. Most of the
You know
stuff I say,
what?
hold
I
up.
can't
Most of the
argue
stuff,
with you.
hold up. Most of the stuff I say is generalized and it's not just particularly from my situation. It's from a plethora of situations, and Christian just probably attest to it. But I'm gonna say this. This is my situation. I can't even come home with a meal. I can't come home and have already eaten. A bitch fed you. What the fuck? Yo, I can't. Where that come from? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to eat. I'm not hungry. Like, if I'm not
Okay,
hungry,
so let me ask you this. So is there any particular reason why she may feel that way?
may feel
But
what?
she's just feeling that way for no reason. And
I'ma
I'm
tell
not
you why.
saying,
I'ma tell
listen
you
to
why.
me. I'm not saying that it's something that you did. It could have been something in the past.
No, I'm gonna tell you what.
I know
I'm
y'all
gonna
been
tell you
together
why.
for a long ass time.
But let me tell you why. The reason I think that she feels that way is, for one, a couple reasons. Possibly because if you know you don't cook on a regular, right?
We know where it's going.
I'm just saying. So, and if you're not, I mean, the reason I think she gets that is because sometimes I come home and I don't eat, so she feel like a lot of women lose their husbands or their men because they not cooking themselves, and then so if somebody else cooking, it's like, oh shit, I'm in jeopardy. Why is that? You're in jeopardy because you're not handling your shit. So that's an insecurity on yourself. So my thing is, men, like, she'll tell me all the time, yo, you just not simple. No, I'm not the fuck simple. No, I'm not. Most men aren't. They just play simple because it's like this is what
we
the
pick
norm
our
is.
battles with.
This, you know
We
what I'm
will
saying?
pick our battles. Everything in a fucking.
I mean, but I think
That's a fact.
that blame is on y'all because
No,
you'll
it's
use
on-
the fact
it's
that
on-
you pardon
Everything
me,
gotta be
you will
fucking
use the
battle.
fact that you are
It's
unhappy and you're not getting what you need to step out into cheat. But at the same time, you say, well, I'm going to go ahead and I play the part and I act like I'm simple, but I'm really not. If you're complex, you need to communicate it. If you are not receiving what you need to speak up. Just like you say, a woman bitch, well, then you need to step up and bitch a little bit too to get your needs
I'm gonna tell you
at
this.
home by
Hey,
your woman, by your wife, by your fiance.
Stop, bitch.
I bitch. I started bitching like in 05. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. It's like when you can't beat them, you join them motherfuckers and bitching works. I saw that it worked. I was like, that's just smart. I said, hold up. Every time she bitch, I go in and I get it done. Cause I get tired of hearing her bitch. That shit works. Okay. But you know, and then what y'all be living on the fact that men don't want to be called a person that bitches. I don't give a fuck. I want what I want. So I don't care. I'd be like, yo,
And you should. If you care about the relationship, you should
But
go
that's
ahead and continue to make it known.
But that's communication.
No, that's
So
bitch.
you
It's a
put
difference.
Man, hey, maybe I need to try this.
Bitching is
So that's
different. Yo,
communication to the max. That's
Chris.
communication to the max.
Huh?
That's
So what?
communication to the max when you bitches. That's
Hey.
communication on steroids.
You're right. That's exactly what it is.
Communication on
That
steroids.
shit is like this, nigga. I'm gonna get it the fuck done, nigga. We be like talking, and then that motherfucker be like, okay, she ain't gonna do it. Motherfucker, I said, I'm telling you, that shit go and fuck that. I love it. But okay, so yeah, communication is the key. So I think you said something about segueing into the communication piece of it. Yeah, it's important. It's important. It's very important.
You have to. And sadly, the expectation is not even just on our end, but on the men end too, that when you've been together for so long, I expect you to already know this. And you just can't, you know what I mean? And I've been guilty of, hey, we've been together long enough, you should know me by now. You should understand, you should. But seriously, I have, because I'm just like, and I guess because, let me tell you why for my instance. My instance is because I guess I know him and I know his ways and how he moves because we've been together so long. And my expectation is you should know the same thing about me. But I also had to realize that, hey, y'all two different people. And he don't operate like you operate. So close mouth never get fed. And it actually contributed to a lot of the disagreements that we had. Because I was just like, okay, you were supposed to know. And in all reality, no, I didn't know. Like, honestly, he honestly didn't know. He was like, with all this stuff I had going on and working and the kids and whatever, this, that, and the other,
right.
Say what you want. Say what you mean what you say. Like, that was, so once we started communicating more about things, then it got better. Okay. And then also took the defensive mechanism part of the communication. If I come to you and say, hey, you know, this is how I'm feeling about this, you can't go into defense mode.
Why not?
You know, make my point invalid, because we're not going to get anywhere. Whether you agree with it or not, you don't have the right to invalidate my feelings. Like, I don't have the right to invalidate yours.
Right, but
I
just may not react to your feelings. I might just not react to it.
I think that too. You also, when you're communicating, you have to make sure that you're communicating in a language that your spouse understands.
English?
Don't say that. Don't say that. Some people don't understand it. You like cussing their ass out. Not necessarily saying that's
I said in a language that your spouse understands. I don't respond to yelling.
You don't respond to yelling?
You can talk to the wall.
You don't respond to yelling?
No.
Okay.
I don't like it. I do not like yelling. I don't like a whole lot of curse words. If you talk to me and not at me, I will definitely go ahead and listen. I'm going to take in consideration what you're saying. I also want to make sure that when I'm talking to you, it's a good time to talk. That's part of communicating. Asking, is this a good time to talk? Are you ready to receive what I have to say? Because if it's not, it's going to go in one ear and out the other.
So you can't.
That's funny, because I had to learn that. That was a struggle for us. I had to learn that because in the household I grew up in, not necessarily my mom or my dad, that was the only way that he communicated, cussing, loud, whatever. So I always emulated that, which would make Stephen, not. And then it got to the point where he would reciprocate it, and I didn't like it because I grew up in a household with abuse. So when you yell, that triggers something in me. But I had to learn how to. So I had to learn how to communicate with him so that he could communicate back to me how I can respond to it. So it was a learned thing for me. He didn't come in that way. He ended up turning that way because that's how I was coming back.
That's bullshit.
I seriously had to learn. What do you mean?
That's bullshit.
It's not.
You gonna hear this shit?
No, listen. Tell me why.
You gonna hear this shit? You gonna hear this shit? I got something to say. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. You gonna hear what I gotta say? Cause what happened was you caused me to yell because I tried to communicate with you some shit that was on my mind, and I told you that, hey, I need to talk.
That's what I said.
No, I'm just saying.
That's what I
just said. I'm saying the yelling. I'm talking about even now. I'm not saying you said you had to learn that. I ain't learned it. What I'm saying is all I've learned is.
You might need to. That might be why you're not getting your needs met.
What you mean? Oh, I get my needs met. I just told you, bitch.
That's what he said. He said,
but you can be taking a bitch from you and getting talked to nicely by the next dude. So
that's fine. That's fine. But I'm at home bitching, paying the bills. But I'm bitching, paying the bills. He being nice.
You can bitch and pay the bills. Good. That's good. That works for her. It's good. Pay the bills and let her get her needs met by the next dude. Let her communicate better with him.
That's completely fine. That's completely fine.
Good.
I promise you
this. That's good.
But I mean, wait a minute.
I mean, do body language.
But wait a minute, though. But maybe that's just the only way that she get it when he act like that, when he respond that way. I'm not saying that for me or you is right. You know what I mean? It will be effective for us. But maybe it just is because you even said you have to communicate with your spouse on a level where.
But also communicate with her and ask her, is that the only way that you're able to get your point across to her? Because that may not be
Communication.
the
Well,
communication.
no, I'm not saying every
You can
time.
bitch and
I'm
wear a
not saying
person
every
down
time.
or wear a person out.
No, I'm not saying every time. What I'm saying is in certain instances when it requires, because you don't hear logic. And I'm a human being, I have nerves. So there's certain things, which brings me into the surprise topic. There's certain things that'll push certain buttons, and then it's like, you're pushing these buttons.
And why don't you communicate this? This is not a good time to talk to me. I am not at a
exactly. That's my point. That's what pushing buttons come in, because I just told you that you keep talking. So my thing is this: you keep that's what I'm saying. So let me tell you this: when you go into a place and you expect something out of the coin machine, you push the button, you expect something to come out of it because you keep pushing that button and putting your money in. That's what you're getting out of the person. You push that motherfucking button, you're gonna get an item come back out that motherfucker. That's just a fact. Now, surprise topic. Great topics. We got to cut it out because we ran out of time. But great conversation on that part. But my surprise topic of the day is just that. Do women provoke and push to hit buttons knowing that they man either won't or can't respond violently?
I think they do.
Let's go.
I've seen it a lot of times. I'm not gonna even lie. I've seen it a plethora of times. I've seen it a lot.
Why do that?
Because you probably took us to the point where you piss us the hell off and you're not responding to us how we want you to respond.
Okay. So you're a small job.
No, honestly, but I'm being honestly. So I'm gonna get your attention one way or another.
Right, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get all of it. What?
Do I think it's right? No, I don't think it's right.
I don't like, and then get smacked, and that be the time you be like, oh, fucking
straight even.
What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? Why do that? Why do that and then complain? If a dude, and then you gonna call the dude domestic, violent or woman beater, you gonna call him all his name, but you kept pushing the button the same way. If he pushed your button, it would cause a certain reaction. Alicia, I saw your face. Go ahead.
Let me say this real quick before Alicia goes. Hold on, Alicia. Let me say this real quick. If you push his button to the point and his response is to knock you on your ass, he was knocking you on your ass before you start pushing to this point. So he probably is a domestic abuser, but we're going to say that topic for another day.
But if you know that, why push the buttons? Go ahead, Alicia. If you know he whoops ass, don't push that button.
Because he done pushed mine, goddammit. Go ahead, Alicia.
Go ahead, Alicia.
A lot of times it is maturity. A lot of times it is not knowing how to properly have a disagreement and have an argument. I would say that when I was young and in my first marriage, I was that girl, and I use girl very loosely, that girl, because a woman don't react like that, but I was that girl that was definitely confrontational, combative, get all in your face. I might put my hand all in your forehead, and I might even hit you. But don't expect you to go ahead and touch me back. It's just growing up, I would say in my household, I never saw my parents argue, ever. And I think they thought that by doing that, yes.
I told you.
I think that they thought by doing that, they were doing a good thing by not arguing in front of us. But it never taught me how to have those skills in order to actually communicate, to have an argument and a disagreement and to see how you properly do it. So if I was mad, I just reacted in anger. I acted stupid, childish. So sometimes it's, again, not knowing how to properly communicate,
right?
Not knowing how to de-escalate, not being able to control your anger. I think sometimes men can be so nonchalant, so you're trying to get a reaction, see how he feels, get some emotion out of him, not realizing you're about to get down behind.
You give a demonstration, Will.
I'm just saying, Chris. I see you getting your thing, man. But what's your thoughts on it? That like you realize that women do that, or do you think that women do that?
I mean, and honestly, I will say this. I don't have to deal with that, which is honestly a good thing because she don't.
Because you too light to get hit. You're too light. So leave all kind of.
Yes, it don't happen. That don't happen to red.
I think that he does grab the neck of his shirt. Though.
Real niggas don't get that. Nah, real niggas don't get that.
She don't hit him, but she grabbed the neck of his shirt to make him move.
Yeah. But you know what? It is so funny. We've been in moments where we've been playing before, and you've done something like, damn, if I punched your ass, or I forgot what we were, and I'll use this for example, in the kitchen playing BS and while she cooking. She might have hit me with a hot ass spatula, and the shit left a mark on my arm, a burn on my arm. Man, if I did that same shit to you and your mama or daddy saw that, what happened? Oh, Chris hit me with a spatula. Oh,
Oh,
fuck
yeah.
off.
Yeah, gonna break
Boy,
loose.
yeah, boy. That's what I'm saying. The
But
double standard.
it's a double standard, but the reality of it is, yeah, I do think that I ain't gonna say I know that women do that on a regular basis. And I think a lot of them do it because they know their man will not hit them back.
They know that. So they wanna punch the shit out of you, get their anger off, but you gotta go punch a wall or walk the fuck off or go somewhere else. Which
And
is
then,
crazy.
shit, and then you know if we do, not only is it wrong, but shit, our ass going to jail.
Yeah, and even if you punch a wall, the motherfucker look at you crazy. Punching out walls, you
Oh,
gonna
but the
get
laws
that
have
shit
changed because even if she do hit you and you hit her back, if both y'all got war wounds, both y'all asses going to jail. It ain't no longer.
Yeah,
Somebody gotta go.
Damn, we can't
Yeah,
bomb
but
each other out.
we getting insert the injury because we get the label along with all the bullshit. Now, you know, y'all just gonna get, oh yeah, she just fighting her man. We get, man, you fucking domestic abuser, you nothing ass nigga, you hitting on a woman, you
No,
garbage,
even-
you ain't
Somebody
shit,
come with it.
you ain't shit.
No,
You hit a
that
woman, you could have just walked
probably
off.
used to be, but now people are saying, women are saying that women are domestic abusers. Like, no, seriously.
Y'all
Sierra
been
Marie,
y'all been
with Ray
domestic.
J. No,
Shit.
we
Foreign
were
and
defending ourselves.
foreign and
We were
domestic. Y'all
defending
motherfuckers
ourselves,
are black.
goddamn it.
I mean,
But
when
y'all
it all
don't
boils
get the
down,
stigma though. Y'all don't. There's no bad stigma attached to a female fighting a man. It's just
It's a
not.
fact. What's up?
that's not true. But when it
Unless you
all
look
boils
like a man.
down, it all boils down to communication. It all comes back full circle, back again to communicating.
Communication, absolutely.
And not knowing how to properly communicate and allowing it to escalate if you to act out in that situation because you're not communicating properly. And your partner at that point is definitely, once they shut down, before it even gets to that point, that lets you know that this is not a good time to talk. It's time to walk away. And you need to talk about what's a good time to talk. When is it? Because sometimes I wake up in the morning, I want to go ahead and go at it.
I don't want to talk about this shit. I told you.
Straight to
Sometimes it's I got to make sure too. It's not even when he's getting into bed and trying to go to sleep. You want to rest. You don't really want to talk and have a conversation at that time. So it's also about having what is a good time to talk. What is a good time when you're open, you're willing to listen, be receptive to what I'm talking about.
Right.
And I know we're short. I know we're short on time, and we're about to probably cut it off in just a second. But I got one last question that's going to expound on this. Why do women sometimes say what they have to say and then don't want to hear shit else? You got what you wanted off of your chest, and you don't want to hear what I had to say.
Let's talk about that on the next show. I'm gonna write that down for a topic.
You gotta go.
I got some
a
points.
good topic.
Yes, hold.
That's a good point, and that's a good
Yeah.
topic. So, and we can expound on that a whole lot. So anyway,
Sure.
we appreciate everybody for catching the show today. We had some great conversation. We appreciate y'all chilling with us and having a good time. Chris in the car, Alicia's sipping on her drink. Sylvia damn sure sipping her drink. Like, comment, and subscribe. Catch us on YouTube. We're about to go live.
Happy hour me, please.
Happy hour me, please. So we appreciate you. It's been a happy hour or a little less than. Everybody, it's been great. I'll see y'all next time. Like, comment,
Bye.
subscribe.
All right.
Every time I pull up at the let out, it's a spectacle.